Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Steel Division tournament video of me playing in the monthly tournament. Game number 2 versus Neutron. I won the first one just on the edge. This was one of the most amazing games I've played ever in Steel Division 2. You can see that in the previous Steel Division video on the channel. But before we jump in here, I want to make a big thanks to the community, because you made the third STL fundraiser tournament / event once more absolutely amazing. These events always make me so proud being part of this community, as we raised already $1,860. And yeah, it was just an amazing fun event, having some lovely 10v10s with the community, having two phenomenal tournaments with some really great games from the players, and it's a really cool champion on day one with a lot of meme decks and Luna. And yeah, game number 2 also pretty cool games in 1-0. And the really fun show match with Eugen, Vulcan, with 4 guys from Eugen, Storsk, Rick, Sir Tansit, I can't, and Damnet, I can't pronounce that name, Vulcan, Bandana, Yog Dog, Albauza joining us. It was a really fun experience. He will upload the VOD uncut to the YouTube channel. You will also see it on Bandana, on Vulcan, and on Albauza's Twitch if you want to see some more content about it. But with that said, yeah, big thanks. You can still donate to the fundraiser if you want to. You can find the link down below. Let us help out Action Against Hunger's amazing projects. They're doing a phenomenal job, and I'm glad we could help them a bit more with it. And yeah, hope to see you in the next fundraiser tournament, as there will for sure be more. That said, let's jump into this game, as we have Tali and Hantala in front of us, and once more we have the document. We ended up on Tali and Hantala, no, not on Tali and Hantala, on Cell, because yeah, Tali and Hantala, Lenina and Barbara are all even worse maps. Then Dark Neutron picked Axis, I got to play Allies, and the bans are a lot of CQC divisions, plus the classic offenders. 44th, I'm not sure if it's super necessary to ban on this map, but 97th is just really strong at the moment. Taskos 45, really strong. 2nd India has really good infantry. 26 has Stromoviki Rocks and so on. 358, he played in the game before, obviously, and they have the Krupa Chechistiki, which is pretty good on this map. I banned 28 Jäger, 5th Gebirgsjäger for the CQC infantry, 17th for the CQC infantry, 4th Alpina for the air, artillery, and CQC infantry, 4th FJ, CQC infantry, and all around good stuff, as I played them in the game before, and Tatra because they're just so damn cost efficient. So we ended up with 78th, and I got my favorite division, the 3rd VDV for the allies. I thought it would be a good counter pick, and let's see if it is in this game against 78th Storm. A division with really expensive infantry, but that infantry is worth its price. 30-point Schützen everywhere, Begleit Pioneers for 35 points. So you don't have any cheap options really, but you have a lot of stuff. You really have a lot of stuff. So I rushed in with PTRS, brought in 2 mortars for the get-go. My idea was playing a lot of mortars on his expensive infantry and then overrunning them. No smoke off map from the start. Snipe parry coming around here, trying to hit them there. PTRS, good micro by my opponent, not getting hit by that. 2 Maxims for the center, trying to help out there. U2 coming in, costs 20 points, goes for the Flammenwerfer kill, gives me some recon, will get the Flammenwerfer killed, so nearly paid off already. Will fly home, snipe parry versus Pak 40, but will get hit by the Marder as well. Will deal a bit of damage to the Pak 40, but the Pak 40 will kill it off eventually. The PTRS maybe shouldn't have switched with it and leave it in the building, and the sniper might have survived more. Now, mortars coming in, the radio mortars being pretty nice with their radios. Dejant Redvedga in the front line to allow me to use the radios. Stromoviki Rocks will move forward. 13-11 here coming in. And the artillery will hit the Schützen. Machiki coming around as well. As you can see, a hell of a lot of elite infantry here. Sturmschützen with 13 MP44s. The Glide Pioneers with 4 MP44s, TNT, 2 of them. A couple of normal Schützen with 2 MG42s. More Glide Pioneers here. More Schützen here. 13-man squads. So these are pretty efficient infantry. Like, they're not cheap, but the firepower is just intense and they have good hit points unlike other TKC infantries. Schützen here trying to dodge Sturmoviki rocks on the way forward, together with the Ognomachiki. Glide Pioneers coming in though. Meanwhile, Dejan Nicky's here in a fight with Glide Pioneers and Schützen. 3 G42s versus 1 Maxim. Glide Pioneers here will fall back. Mortar will hit the position up here. And it's a 12-12 for now. Glide Perry's coming in. The third mortar coming in. The 120mm mortar got a buff. It now has 30 rounds at the beginning of the game, which when you bring it in, which really helps out as you don't need a supply card in A anymore because you have enough rounds to bring you through. Big mistake here going too deep in the forest though. The Janikis get shredded on the edge of it by the MG44s, and I have to retreat a bit. Captured this flag for now, but the Schützen pushed in here as they finished off the Maxims. Really good long-range firepower by the Schützen. Ognomachiki here versus the Glide Pioneers. Schützen coming around as well. As you can see, a hell of a lot of infantry coming my way. And the Janiki rocks really trying their best to not get killed here. Pioneer Führer keeps them from getting surrendered, which is a bit of a shame. Would have loved to get the surrender there, though I get the one-hit snipe on the, but then I was out of range at this moment. Bit unfortunate. 13-11 for Dark Neutron, but shows you that 220mm can bring some damage to the enemy, especially with radio. More Guardias coming in. Redskars up to bring a radio to the south so that the mortars can hit here well as well. SU-76 also bringing a mortar. Panzerschreck sneaking behind my lines. Meanwhile, 37mm will come up. 120mm over here, trying to deal some damage to the Schützen, but more Schützen coming up. And 13th can set up pretty well, and maybe not rushing it. Like, my idea was to play it so that whenever I see a Schützen, whenever I see a IG-33, I hit it with mortars. Maybe I should have rushed it a bit early on here, made my life a bit more interesting with off-map, smoke off-map, but that's also what people expect from me when I play this division, so I tried to switch it up a bit, like trying to adjust my playstyle to maybe win the mind game, and that I play something else than what the opponent expects from me. Though, could have used the smoke maybe of these mortars also a bit better. Meanwhile, mortar over here will try to hit these Schützen. Good movement here by Dark Neutron keeps me at bay. And I really enjoyed all of my monthly tournament games so far, because both Dark Neutron and Homer felt like they're really on the same level as I am. And we had some really fun matches, and this one is one of them. Flammenwerfer coming up here, but Dejan Petretka and Dejan Niki have a lot of PPSHs, should be able to deal with it. Well, another Pioneer leader comes up with all the Glide Pioneers and Sturmschützen moving in once more. Flammenwerfers as well, so a lot of investment into this hill. U2 LMB coming up. No AA there. One AA back here though. And a BF-109 already coming up for 110 points. Trying to hit me. Artillery keeps the enemy at bay. Dejan Niki's coming up here. Try to deal with this and get my front line forward again. Yak 9T comes in too late. Bit of a misinvestment at that point. Could have not bought it at this stage because I bought it too late. Not my best buy-in for planes. At least we'll use it now for strafing onto an MG42. We'll get the kill there as it was out in the open for some reason. And the 37mm is capable, so at least got a bit of a payback on this investment, which makes the situation a bit better. Meanwhile, Sturmoviki rocks should easily roast this flamethrower, and they do. But as I said, way more on the way. So my reinforcements have arrived as well, together with 2 half-tracks. We'll try to take position in here as well, in the hope that mostly the Glide Pioneers and flamethrowers come in, which they can be pretty helpful against with their 50 cults. Schützen over here get overrun as well, get surrendered. Light Pioneers in here. I tried to cap in with a U2 whilst my Yak 9 is still around, but the Flak 43 now reveals itself, so the U2 gets shut down. Really good AA on the side of 78th. The decision why I decided against air spam, because I knew he would have Flak 43s, so yeah, I tried to probe it a bit with U2s, maybe bait out a couple of fighters, but I didn't want it to invest too much into air, because I knew Flak 43s would be a lot, so full-on air spam ain't an option. Because Flak 43 might be the best AA in the game. The Janikis here get the Flammenwerfer, which already makes them pay off, as they're only 15-point unit, killing a 15-point unit. But with Light Pioneers and Sturmschützen kill them off afterwards, so still not too great here. And yeah, Light Pioneers and Sturmschützen holding Light Forests, something engaging into is not healthy. As you can see, now my first mortar is out of rounds, as after 8 minutes of constant fire, even with 30 rounds, it runs out. Flak 43 sadly survived my artillery barrage. If getting a kill there would have been pretty nice. It sadly survives with 1 hit point. Deleting the AA in the center would have helped out, would have forced him to buy another one of these, and they're not super cheap. They come in at 80 points, so would have been a significant investment again to secure the center. Meanwhile, snipers coming around, but the Panzerschreck have arrived at their position in behind my lines. OB-25 will hit the position over here from the rear. And I really tried to bring all my infantry support so that my infantry doesn't have to fight his infantry 1v1. It's basically similar to Fallschirmjägers, only that Fallschirmjägers are now even more pricey than this infantry that my opponent has. So, yeah, cost efficiency is still pretty good on my enemy side. On my opponent's side here, Dark Neutron coming around with Pioneer leaders and Light Pioneers and so on over here, but I at least got this flag back. Got a 13-11 for a while. Light Pioneers sitting over here though, but obviously once you get rid of the Light Pioneers, there's not that many more coming in. The mortar here trying to get a kill on this, but sadly the Pioneer Führer is not going down to it this time. Not getting one shot. Light Pioneers over here also not getting hit directly. Second hit hits though. Gets 1 kill. But good micro on the side of Dark Neutron, retreating them instantaneously. Now we'll try to make a push with 1 Sturmschützen and 2 Schützen in the south. 78th overall division that is maybe not as much played as it should be. Though I get the kill onto the Sturmschützen with the PTRs, so PTRs pays off over here. Now 3 Schützen squads coming in, 2 more Sturmschützen being called in. 78th infantry really strong. It has long range support. It's just not quite the normal division, and it's a bit slower than some others because it doesn't have doesn't have a lot of small aggressive tanks. It has cheaper tanks like the Marder or like tank destroyers, and it has a lot of anti-tank. It has a lot of long range infantry support. It has great AA. It has solid bombers. You don't have as much air, but you don't really need it, as your infantry does infantry support, can do a lot of work. Artillery tap also decent. So especially in balanced versus balanced matchups it can be quite good. But on a map like this you obviously want to play Maverick. But the infantry alone can, if you play it right, be pretty cost efficient. But I obviously tried to get him off that. And the mortars hitting this assault was part of that. They killed the PTRS, but afterwards they have to fall back, as otherwise they would have been hit quite hard by all the mortar fire. And now I have the smoke off map. Now I'm setting up a push in the center. Meanwhile, Light Pioneers sitting still around here. Supply truck coming in for this. But on the other side, 3 Nebelwerfer 41s coming in, as Dark Neutron doesn't like me using all my mortars and wants to do some counter batterying against that. Stuck 3 coming in, whilst PTRs sit in this forward zone. Marder obviously would be somewhat vulnerable to it, but it's not coming forward. Meanwhile, the 2 Sturmschützen called in earlier come in together with Stuck. So the position down here gets assaulted a bit more. And the Panzerschreck here got a kill on a mortar, killing off 90 points there. So Panzerschreck being cost efficient here, once more, kind of annoying. U2 comes in to try to find it. Dark Neutron gets panicked. Don't think it would have spotted it in the building, even with flying directly over it, but as he moved it out, I saw it. So I was able to target it directly. Dejan Nikki will come in to try to hunt it down. Yak 9T will try to kill it. Doesn't quite have the spotting as the U2 is a bit too far away. But U2 plus Yak 9T should be able, plus Dejan Nikki should be able to clean this Panzerschreck out relatively easily. I invest into another mortar. I have a second card of 130mm mortars in B phase. Kill off the Stuk in the north. Schützen being pushed back a bit. Sturmschützen here being really annoying though. Like, against Sturmschützen you really need good engagements. And I'm not the best at super good infantry engagements, at least not without smoke. And I smoked too little with the mortars so far. Meanwhile, U2 gets the bombing kill on the Panzerschreck. So yes, really annoying. Pretty cost efficient, that kill. For the sneak. Killing the wrong transport. If it would have killed the Dejan Nikki, I wouldn't have been too bad off, but killing a 120mm, obviously kind of painful. Meanwhile, IL-237 now going for the hunt on the Stuk 3. AA gun of mine is a bit far up, but so is the AA gun of Dark Neutron. So, yeah, going for the Stuk kill here. We'll get it, but Dark Neutron really fears my reputation as an air spammer, so has now 2 fighters out. And I do a crucial mistake. I don't know why I did that. My air micro was completely off, and I fly in into a thing with against 2 fighters with 320mm head on. That's just completely stupid. Now moving in the IL-4 as well, as you can see, he has 3 fighters now. So yeah, IL-4's numbers, days are numbered as well. Bombing run not too great, and at the same time the Nebelwerfer is coming in. Nebelwerfer's pretty atrocious unit if you are on the receiving end, as all rocket artillery. At least this BF-109 will get shut down. Second one smoking, but still losing an IL-4, Yak 9, and my mortar at the same time here. Not great. Got a Stuk and a BF-109, but yeah, not amazing. And I lose this 1 supply drug I called in here, out of my 4 supply drugs. Pretty painful as well. In the north, getting hit by something as well. Schützen running around. Guardia sitting in the rear, but the Sturmschützen here are pretty annoying. We'll need more stuff there. Dark Neutron up to 1311. The Glide Pioneer still holding the line. My mortar's not working out. Smoke off map not doing much yet. I'm a bit too heavily taxed on the micro at the moment. And that's really one of the things that third year VDV is tough at. You really have to micro all your stuff because none of it is cost efficient on offensive if you don't micro it. Like, you have your Yak 9T is not the most amazing head-on fighter, as you have seen just now. Your artillery doesn't do anything where you can just leave it on, fired position. You kind of have to micro it, otherwise it just wastes its ammo phase too fast and not efficient enough. You just make defensive fire. Your infantry can't hit anything if you don't use it offensively. It can be okay on the defense, having a Dejan Nikki on a good spot, but yeah, just relying on it to just Q move and kill stuff is not that great either. So you have to use a lot of micro for VDV, and this game I didn't do my best job at it. As I maybe also used too many mortars, which need too much micro as of now. But here's hope. Smoke off map coming in the center, and Dejan Nikki and Sturmoviki Rocks are ready to go. Another supply truck for the 120mm coming in. Let's try to break this. The idea of this whole game was to try to go for these 3 flags, and with some deep penetration I might be able to do it. We have 109s flying around, quite a lot of them being brought in over this game by Dark Neutron. Really fearing my air spam, which I didn't plan to bring in. Yeah, Sturmschützen versus Guardia. Sturmschützen will win easily. Really, the infantry fights being atrocious if I don't bring in support weapons. So the mortars are kind of helpful there. But maybe I should have just used more smoke and hit my opponent harder with the smoke from the get-go. Now smoke is coming in though. So this position here is in trouble for my opponent, as my Dejan Nikkis and Sturmoviki Rocks move through it, trying to get in there close. Trying to hit this position. Light Pioneers here, trying to get their TNT out. Jetson over here getting hit by my T-34s coming up. Light Pioneers will get hit as well. Timing on my follow-up to the smoke slightly off, could have been a bit faster, as these also not moving forward. Micro in this game way worse than my first one. Deja Nikki here getting hit. Meanwhile, more Deja Nikki's coming up. 120mm is silent. Shouldn't be. Should either hit this position or should hit back here. Meanwhile, Naval Warfare is trying to hit another one of my 120mm mortars. And they will do so. Because what I fuck up in this game is... I know about the Naval Warfare at this stage. And what I don't do enough is shooting with the mortars and then giving them a follow-up move order. Is the thing that you always need to do if your opponent is bringing annoying units like this around. Being a nasty Naval Warfare 41 spammer, like Dag Newton in this case. You need to move your artillery constantly. Your AA as well. Your AA needs to be constantly moving so that it doesn't get hit by something like this and counter battery it. Meanwhile, next smoke off map coming in here to allow these Desert Nikis to push up the hill over here. Enemy still on the 1311 though, as I'm getting pushed in the north. Desert Nikis coming in here though, trying to hunt down the Sturmschützen. As you can see, it's going mediocre, but fallback is now called in. But my Desert Nikis should be able to follow it up, while it's more Schützen and Sturmschützen coming in here. Just 2 Stooks down the line as well. Meanwhile, BF-109 flying around. Desert Nikis over here tried to get into this forest, but reinforcements from Dark Neutron on the way, and I got pushed out of this forest as well. Naval Warfares keep moving around. Dark Neutron doing a good job, not getting counter batteried in this, unlike me. Smoke coming in here now, allowing my Desert Nikis and Tenko Desert Nikis to hopefully push these damaged Light Pioneers finally out here. More Pioneers being called in on my opponent's side though. And Sturmoviki Rocks would have been good with this push, as these would be pretty good at dealing with Pioneers. Desert Nikis and Tenko Desert Nikis don't do well with that at all. Also miss micro here. The Desert Nikis keeping them on the edge here so that the Schützen can beat them up. But Desert Nikis over here now moving in. They were still under the moved malice though, so the Sturmschützen with 2-star veteran C beat them up. Way better done job with leaders on the side of my opponent as well than on my side. And the Sturmschützen really good against stuff in light cover. Super annoying, I lose a lot of forces here. Like the DPS of MP44 units is insane if you are pretty close and in light cover or no cover. Especially if you still have the movement malice on you. So Dark Newton really using the position here well, and that's why I said you need the 120mm mortars, which by now have been heavily decimated and not been used as much, as I'm first of all scared, second of all my micro now gets pretty rough. So Dark Newton really gets super cost efficient with his stuff now. I'm trying to bring in an IL-2 in the north, have a 2-star veteran CAA, have 3 Yak-9Ts out because I saw 3 fighters of my opponent, so I thought, okay, enemy has no AA in the north. Maybe we can do something here at least. My idea was to kill him there. We'll bring in the smoke off map early to the north as well. And yeah, we'll try to hunt down the BF-109s, but as you can see, he invested so much in BF-109s. And my air micro, once more, is pretty atrocious. Could have been much better. We'll lose all my stuff here, and it's going completely haywire now. And Dark Neutron just playing leagues above me here. Really, game number 2. VDV, I tried to be too fancy, I would say. I could have just used my smoke off map. As by trying to be off with my playstyle. I have practiced this playstyle a bit before, but not enough for this game, and I also didn't have my priorities set right in this game. I didn't had the micro either, and I just didn't play well compared to my opponent, so yeah, BF-109s. I was super flabbergasted how he could afford this at this stage, but I guess I just gave him too much time to set up the cost-efficient setup of 78. What you need to do with VDV against this division is just keeping it off balance, because the combined arms here that he gets is better than my combined arms. My combined arms is not completely low level, but the combined arms of 78th is like one of the best in the game. You get good tank destroyers, you get some of the best AA, you get some of the best artillery, you get some of the best infantry, and if you can get that all together, all of this is not cheap, but if you can get it all together, punching through it is just so rough. Once more, 120mm going down through the obnoxious naval warfare 41s, and yeah, Dark Neutron playing an amazing game here, whilst I didn't have the right game plan, I guess, or not the right execution at least. I think my game plan could have worked, but the execution of it was just not right. And 120mm mortars might be a bit overrated by me. Like, they did an okay job, but I should have stayed with the 3 I brought in the beginning, and then maybe replace the one that got killed. Trying to just overwhelm him with 120mm mortars, not the right choice. I should have just... Like, 120mm mortars are 6 quadrants of Desert Nikis in cost. If you put the supply truck on top, it's 6 Desert Nikis plus a Guardia, 2 Guardias. So, yeah. Could have had way more infantry maybe on the ground and just overwhelmed him with smoke off map and that. But by the support by the 120mm mortars. Like I said, I need them, but not in the numbers. They don't do enough damage for that. They are just supposed to be a tool that keeps them from being able to just hold a position, and then my infantry should be able to sweep in, but I didn't have enough infantry here. And as I said, I gave him too much time for the setup as well in A phase. Smoke off map needed to be there earlier, and this is really annoying here now. Luckily this time I finally learned it to move around, so this naval warfare run doesn't hit me. So yeah, it's just pretty over here at this stage. I will play on for a while, but 30 VDV is a good deck. I still stand by it, and I think you have it shot in this matchup. Yeah, maybe I should have played for Sil, like that was my other idea of the division to play, as I had the counter pick, and he didn't ban Corpo Italiano Liberazione, a division that I obviously used well against Homer, and a division that I also regard pretty highly lately. And it could have done similar things here. Like, it has a good CQC infantry, it has good artillery with radio. That is more affordable actually, but the infantry is a bit more expensive. And it might have the better tank tap with Shermans. It could have been pretty helpful here. So, I'm not sure. Like, it might have just been the execution here without Neutron. I think that 78 was a pretty good pick as a first pick for this map. It's not super easy to counter here. Yeah. Maybe you guys have an idea of what else I could have played out of the bands. Like, obviously you saw the bands, like Task Force 45 and so on was out of question. Oh yeah, Indians would have been open as well. That was an idea as well. But I didn't feel like that they had the infantry to beat them. Like, Indians still needed to take quite a couple of long-range engagements, and that's obviously exactly where the enemy wants you to be with 78th. Their artillery play would have been really the way to victory, but I didn't want to do that against my opponent, but maybe I should have. Like, also, the reason why I do this, like, focus on artillery play and air play, is I think that's the one thing where I'm above average even compared to Division 2 players like Dark Neutron, like Homer, and so on. Like, my airplay usually is pretty on point, even against these guys. Wasn't quite this game. Like, really, as I said, I think my micro was just not good enough. Even if I would have had the right plan, and I'm not 100% sure I had the right plan, while Dark Neutron is just playing a pretty classic and the absolutely right 78th Storm matchup, putting the infantry in the right places, dodging my artillery in the right times, having the AA, having the naval warfare to counter my one solution for victory, the 120mm, which doesn't work out at all. Like, his naval warfare eliminated most of them by now, down to 2 now. I guess I brought in more, but I just got hung up on them at this stage. So, Dark Neutron here on the 1311. And will kill off my Schützen here. My infantry here with the Schützen. Now having just so much more infantry, and has the air, has the artillery war as well, has the armored play as well. So at this point it's just like me trying one last desperate effort in the north, but the smoke was too far behind, and one single Stormschützen evaporates all my dash and Nikis. Like as I said, the DPS output of some of the infantry units is insane. And one of the reasons why I think this division is highly underplayed, especially like in quick play. 78 Storm, one of the best divisions out there for sure. Like, not quite top 10, but for sure in the top 15, top 20. And a pretty easy division to learn. It's a base game division, so if you don't have the DLCs, I would really highly recommend. Always a division I tell people to try to learn the game with, because it doesn't let you rely on tanks too heavily, but it still gives you all the good stuff. Like, you learn how to trade with this division pretty well, and you still have Stooks, which are good tanks. Like, it's not a division like MGB or so, where you don't get any tanks. Like, you still get tanks, you just don't get any, like, super fancy stuff like T-3485s or so. But everything else in this division is just pretty cool. And yeah, now my first push got evaporated. I tried another one, but it's obviously not gonna work out. BF109s are around. Yeah, another push coming in here. 1410 on the clock, and with this push here, also on the way to getting evaporated. There's the smoke coming in, but the Neutron is just pushing through it, bringing in more Stormschützen annihilating anything in Light Forest. And even 100 meter range engagement is not that bad against Nikis. Like, it's a really tough matchup. Like, they 1v1 obviously Stormschützen with 13 versus 8 hit points, they still win. And even in 2 versus 1, they're still... They're gonna lose there against the Nikis, but they're not gonna lose super hard. Meanwhile, here, they just evaporate the half of them already. Really good forward move here by Dark Neutron. Expecting the next Nebel bombardment. And I'm running out of smoke off map, I'm running out of units. And I'm just down so much stuff now. It's once you're getting out-traded with VDV, the comeback is pretty tough. Like, you usually want to... You're fine in VDV as long as you trade 1v1, 1-to-1 usually. It's one of those divisions, like back in the day, Koruk or 9th Cavalry Wars, and now maybe Tatra and so on is, that if you trade 1-to-1, your cheap combined arms is better than the enemy combined arms, and you usually have more push power. But once you get inefficient and the enemy gets their higher level combined arms, it's over. That's exactly what happens here. Like, the end game of VDV is not quite where the end game of other divisions is. It's better than Koruk's end game, but 78's late game, end game stage for sure is leagues above it. And yeah, Dark Neutron was just leagues above it in this game as well. So this game is on this way to fizzle out. I won't prolong this by much. As you can see, 15 seconds here remaining. And yeah, one more BF109 run. My smoke off map here failed completely. And that was the stage where I realized this is gonna be over. I don't need to stay in here to see the time tick down. I'm fine with a draw. I think my first game against Dark Neutron was a really good one. He played also pretty well in that one as well. But I played that tick better, I would say, with 4 Vulture Vigorous 358. And in this game here, I just didn't play as well as he did. So... good pick by him. I liked his 78 play a lot. My VDV play, not quite on par. Not my best VDV play either, but yeah, maybe I will get him next time. And I'm fine with a draw. Means I'm not going up against the best of the best in the monthly tournament, as it is a Swiss-style tournament. But rather against people in the mid-tier, which I think makes more enjoyable games for me. Hopefully also enjoyable games for you. If you like this, consider leaving a follow down below so you see when I upload the next video. And let me know what division you would have picked on this matchup. And yeah, next week we will play against Attack Power Gaming. So that should be interesting as well. He just got crushed by Vulcan, so hopefully we can crush him as well. But we will see. Attack Power Gaming, not a super easy opponent either. And obviously his YouTube stuff is amazing, so check him out there. With that said, bye bye. See you next time. And hope you have a good day.